It says we're live.
Well, yeah. Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the Gaytriarchy. Are you a man? Are you a gay man in particular? Are you maybe even bisexual, but functionally homosexual because maybe in the current year, hashtag Me Too has made you hashtag uh, strictly dickly or whatever. That's a tired phrase. I don't like saying strictly dickly. It's like, what are we like in a some new movie from the 90s waiting to exhale or something? I don't know. But yeah, are you any of these things? And have you thought to yourself about what exactly happens when you age? What happens to gay men as they get older? If they get older, what happens to gay men after 50, after 60? Have you ever met a gay man that's over 70? Because I have, but only like two or three of them. It's like a pretty rare thing. And I think that we as you grow a little bit older as a gay guy and you start to observe the way that people just tend to actually give up on older people in general, and they just sort of stop caring about them and sort of hope that they die sooner than later anyway, even if it's people with children and grandchildren. Well, I think gay guys really got to think about what's about to happen to us when we get old, because clearly the feminists aren't going to be taking care of us as we've noticed. um so yeah, we got to stick up for each other is what I'm thinking. And maybe that's the topic of the Gaytriarchy in general, but I would like to, just because it's where my head is at, I would like to make this episode somewhat having to do with the elderly a little bit, if we can. Though we don't have a guest for that or anything, but oh well. Maybe we'll have a guest for that at some point in the future. But that's where my head is at, and I don't have anything else to say at the beginning. Say hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Saint of Bacon. I have the Gaytriarchy account for tonight because Google Hangouts is weird, and I don't know if it would murder my internet to use my own account. And I'm here. I finally hit 100 subs. Hooray! Thank you, everybody who watches both me here and on my own channel.
Yay!
Who is masturbating?
Population.
Yeah, I think I'm snapping for you.
Oh,
Did that sound too fappy? This is why the SJWs were right, weren't they? We should be snapping.
I mean, Derek, I'm flattered if you're masturbating to the thought of me, but yeah, that just sounded a little too fappy.
Oh, the masturbation is just a given. I don't even mention it because it's just a given.
Anyways, anyone else got anything to say?
Different strokes for different folks, Derek, but...
And sometimes it's just the same stroke over and over again repeatedly.
Practice makes perfect.
That's right. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Bacon.
It's all right.
Maybe it didn't. That wasn't what that was. Anyway, this is Spacepan, ANCAP, MRA kid, who says stuff that's, kind of like the kind of shit an ANCAP MRA would say. I don't know what else to say. Oh, I have an event tomorrow, so if anybody's in the Twin Cities area, I don't know, I guess message me about it. But we're going to have another red pill screening. Yes, we're still doing those. It's exciting stuff. Anyway, that's all I got for now.
All right, Farrell, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How'd you, Prince?
Yeah, could be better, could be worse. I would say, at the moment, compared to everybody surrounding me, I'm doing fucking fabulous because all these cunts have lost their minds. So yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah, doing great.
I don't know if they lost their minds and we had, and it makes me wonder if we even understand what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm the one. The thing is, for me as an individual, I'm somebody that grew up being lied to my entire fucking life. Like, by basically everyone around me. I was just constantly fucking lied to. I was an accident. Nobody told me. My parents split up when I was 5 due to these, some weird allegation. Well, it wasn't even due to that, but then there was also some weird allegations against my father that I didn't understand. And both of my parents told me that the other parent was evil, and
Man.
I didn't know who to trust. And they were both either saying things that were like partially true or like kind of untrue. And then my eldest sister was like fucking flat out lying about some shit like the whole fucking time. And every time I got near anywhere sort of like near actually scratching the surface of like anything true, people would start being like gaslighting me and be like, no, what are you talking about? That's crazy. And it was like that with politics too, being surrounded by the far left, thinking to myself, oh yeah, I guess feminists are cool. Wait, but why do you hate men so much? I thought you were supposed to be gay rights advocates, and I'm a man. And they're like, oh, well, we don't hate you. We just hate all that. You're not really a man. Like, well, I am though. Well, no, but not like really. I don't know if
Wow.
I don't know if that's the most honest thing to tell me. Like, it kind of sounds like you're being a little bit dishonest here with that you're saying. But like, I get to be in my mid to late 30s, and then it turns out that like all the things I kind of thought were true over the years end up being just very, very obviously true. And it's like, now we have proof. And so it's like, okay, wait. I was just wrong about thinking that maybe I really was crazy the whole time, and that it was just a bunch of like millions of liars that I actually thought were maybe decent people, and I was just totally wrong. Oh, hey, Anahata Hearts, how are you doing? She's in the chat. So, there's people around me being pretty bad, pretty crazy, and but it's like, I'm demonstrably staying all right. Like, I was the one who knew that Trump was going to win, and I knew why he was going to win, and everybody else lost their mind, and I didn't even vote for the guy. So if that makes any sense, that's how I'm doing. That's I don't have much more of a little rant. I've noticed about the Gaytriarchy, I have to say, and I feel almost bad about this. The first 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes is kind of like the Prince of Queens show, where I just like go off about whatever the fuck I really wanted to talk about, and then I sort of stop and you guys get to talk.
We had kind of a soft theme of just like whichever article had the most outrageous title, it would be like something to like open the thing with. Like a tone setter, like a crazy appetizer with like fucking sparklers on it and shit.
Yeah, but social justice loves doing that, so we can't really like set ourselves up, because whenever we do it, next week we'll just be like, well, you thought that was hilarious, here's more stupid for you. And eventually it gets exhausting.
Can we make them misogynistic sparklers? I think we could pull it off then.
Only if they're penis shaped.
But of course.
By the way, if you guys are here and watching it, do please smash. I don't know why everybody says smash the like button, but smash
because of rape culture. That's why we say that.
That is why.
Yeah, just take that like button and pound the hell out of it, y'all. I mean,
pound me too.
Yeah. Hashtag it out there. And actually, you can go ahead and tweet it. You could put on a billboard. You could call your grandmother, tell her to watch. I don't really care, but it would be cool if you wanted to. Yay. Okay. So, does anybody else have any little thing to say before we like get into articles or whatever? Oh, wait, hold on. I have to say something really quick. I'm pissed at myself because I have this new computer and it's a PC, and I'm used to having a Mac where anything that you ever create at all ever gets saved automatically, and like on PCs, you occasionally actually have to save things. Like you actually have to click save. And I wrote out an entire script, and not just any script, but it was supposed to be my channel intro. And it was called Dear Gay Men, You're Not Alone. And it's basically kind of a like, hey, guys, I know it can be really, really shitty to feel like everybody who's in the LGBT community is insane and destructive, and like, either you're an SJW or you're a steroid addicted, meth addicted psycho that is probably suicidal from all of the like emptiness that you're feeling inside. Seems like those are the only two options. And so I know a lot of you are turning to just hanging out by yourself and playing video games and watching YouTube videos. And I know that because I was like that. And then I started my channel and then I got lots of subscribers that are like that. But trust me, there's fucking lots of us. There is lots of us. And I want you guys to know that, and maybe, start channels of your own and try to meet people. And that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to cultivate a little bit of a community, blah, 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 blah. I said it much more eloquently. I wrote it all fucking down, and then like all I have left is a fucking paragraph, and I'm pissed. I am so annoyed about that because it's supposed to be my pride video. And granted, I can rewrite the whole thing. I know the spirit of like what I'm trying to get at, and it's not like I don't write quickly, but I wanted to say that before we proceed.
Okay, so do you want me to get into the first piece of topical bullshit from this week?
Sure.
Okay, so apparently Chick-fil-A is in the news again because, I don't know, gay reasons. And the first headline's about is Dave Rubin won't be joining your Chick-fil-A boycott.
Let's bring this up on the screen.
Sure, give me a moment. Okay, let me present myself.
Yeah,
are we going to be talking? Are we going to be talking about the Jack thing, Jack Dorsey or whatever the fuck?
Oh, probably. I'm not entirely sure.
Apparently so. We are now.
Oh wait, can you guys see
I'm
it?
like, let me switch screens real quick. Sure can't.
Crap.
So you double click on the screen share thing on the left. The green. I will screen share myself, and I will show you what you need to see. Okay, so so look, present me to everyone. Okay.
Okay, hold on one moment.
Okay.
Please dox yourself again.
No, it's not happening. You can't see anything. Thanks a bunch.
Oh.
So so you go up to this thing, this little, and that's what you click on to make it so that you're personally screen sharing.
Oh. Well, I'm not entirely sure how to do. Oh, there you go.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're on now. Hold on. Let me get to me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, screen share, screen one, share.
There you go.
Okay, hopefully it's up now.
Present yourself to everyone because I'm still presented.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully you guys can see me. Hopefully. Can you guys see me?
Yep.
Okay, so Dave Rubin won't be joining your Chick-fil-A boycott.
Is he even gay though? Is he really even gay?
Honestly, when it comes to Dave Rubin, because I don't really want to read this bullshit just as a point.
Yeah, do we even have to? Do we have to?
Just as a point of contention, I just want to shit on Dave Rubin for like 2 minutes, and then we can just move on.
Wait. In fairness, I just want disclaimer. I have love for Dave Rubin. I don't hate him. I have no personal gripe with him. I think he's a perfectly nice guy. I like him. And I don't even actually have any like problems with his politics. But like here at the Gaytriarchy, we have if anybody has a right to criticize him in terms of like whatever, it's us. And so here we're gonna do that probably. Okay. I don't know what you guys are going to say because I
love the guy, and I'm still going to take the piss out of him.
I'm just going to say I'm a cunt, and I probably should have been born with one, but I am one anyways. So we'll just go with that.
I just think that Dave Rubin was probably straight up until the moment he met a gay man who was like, "I like dick," and then Dave Rubin was like, "I agree." Okay, so that was my little knock at him, but now I'm gonna give him a mad prop because this actually happened to me like last week on Twitter. So I saw somebody post this thing about like the personal is political and Christina Hoff Sommers. It was Michael Ian Black This is why I love Twitter,
Oh,
because you just see
God.
these like petty back and forth being like celebrities just bounce everywhere. So it starts with Michael Ian Black posting like the personal is political over and over and over
Oh
again.
my
Right?
God, he used to be kind of an edgelord too.
Right, but okay, and then Christina Summers retweets it being like, "Calm down, dear," because of course she's based mom, like she would say that. And then so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this exchange, and I'm like, "Yeah, like great." But this is exactly what I hate about the right. It's one thing I hate about the right, which is when they see that phrase, the personal is political, they just laugh at it and mock at it, and then they're just like, "Oh, this is stupid." But they're
Guilty.
right. When people say the personal is political, they're totally correct. And the problem is that the
Yeah.
right doesn't see it as a problem. They just deny it. And then right after I'm bitching at Christina Hoff Summer, I'm not really bitching at her. I'm just like saying like, yeah, good point, but I wish this thing. Then I see Dave Rubin posting like, yeah, I agree with this point, and the right needs to combat this. And I was like, holy shit. Like I gained a lot of faith in him, and I was like really happy to see that. And it just kind of felt like destiny, because it was like right on the heels of that happening. And I was like really proud of Dave Rubin for taking like what I see was like a true conservative stance, which I think is kind of rare.
Huh. Well, I think well, true conservative, what does that even mean?
It means ANCAP.
Yeah. No, I realize that I can formulate. I've been long wanting to make a video titled "Feminism is a Conservative Position," but I wasn't positive because I feel this instinctually. Like it's just been way too fucking long that feminism has dominated the paradigm of the Western world. You know, it's in all of education, and it's not even thought of as like a controversial worldview. It's just assumed, and it's like that is what conservatism is to me. And I realize that the best argument I have to talk about how the word conservative is relative is that when people think of conservatism, they think of generally in the United States or in Great Britain, they think of Christian traditionalists, right? That's what they think of. And the funny thing about Christian traditionalism is that although we are a puritanical nation and everything, we have also had a very strong secularism that was in the Constitution. So a lot of people say that, you know, like conservatives are in favor of free speech because they go by the Constitution, therefore they're conserving the original ethos of this nation. But at the same time, that would directly contradict the secularism that's also in the Constitution. And what's interesting is that the thing on the dollar, the "In God We Trust" mark on the dollar, that only came about in like the 1950s or so. And it came as a result of like wanting to unify our nation as a more tradition, like religious thing, probably to fight the commies or something. I don't fucking know. But that's why that happened. So that happened relatively recently. And then the next orthodoxy that really kind of took over was feminism. And so it's like, if Christianity could be considered conservatism, obviously then feminism could too. And I believe, let's steer us back to Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is, as far as I know, they're a Christian business. I know that they don't stay open on Sundays, and that's a thing with them. Why does everybody call them homophobic anyway? I know I've heard it 500 times, but I don't even remember. I don't even remember.
It began with an opposition to gay marriage from the CEO, but that was another thing I wanted to bring up is when was the last fucking time you heard about Chick-fil-A when it wasn't some gay drama?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never have. Like, it's literally, oh, the CEO doesn't like gay marriage. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, since when should the gays care where I get my meat? Just gonna say.
But Tish, I get it.
Yeah, thank you. Someone finally got my dirty jokes.
20 minutes later, we'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah. Anyways, my like shit on Dave Rubin is it's like, since when do you give a shit about gay issues? I mean, you literally like just shill for your whoever's giving you money on Patreon and then just like fuck off to like wherever. You know, it's like, which I'm like, I don't like say like, oh, that's a horrible way to make money. I mean, yeah, you do you, but it's like, why am I going to listen to you as a moral authority when you're like, oh, I'm just going to shill this position because, you know, libertarians throw money at me. Oh, liberals throw money at me. I'm going to shill this position. It's like, okay, go ahead and make money, but I'm not going to take you seriously. And also for Chick-fil-A, it's like, you didn't fund like, you know, marriage is one man, one woman campaign. So why do I care what you have to say?
Yeah, with Dave Rubin, it does definitely seem like the only time he ever brings up the fact that he's gay is to tokenize himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's never like, yeah, I'm gay, and in the gay community, we have this issue, blah, 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 like I will do for fucking half hour.
Yeah.
You know, like,
You know, and he's very, very conservative presenting too, right? Like he's very, very straight kind of presenting. He doesn't even seem to like have much of a gay act. Like, he's believable as a gay, right? But he's not like totally out there flamboyant. Not that he has to be, but it kind of blends into this idea that he just kind of pulls it out as like a token card.
Yeah, pretty much.
I still think you're being a little harsh, Bacon, but maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not being harsh enough.
Well, I'm very harsh to the pundit type people who are like, "Oh, I'm a moral authority and you should listen to me." It's like, what's the difference between you and Rachel Maddow, the people that fucking pay you?
well, wait, but I would disagree with that opinion, and the reason why is that Rachel Maddow herself is a lot more comparable to someone like Milo Yiannopoulos or Ben Shapiro, because she's fucking just sits there by herself talking to the audience. Dave Rubin is a professional interviewer, and that's what's really cool about him. He does have his direct message at the beginning, but a lot of towards the beginning, just giving a platform to dissenting viewpoints was this unheard of thing. Like having Milo Yiannopoulos, Christina Hoff Sommers, Sam Harris, his early guests, was this like breakthrough for me as an individual. I was like, I had no idea these three people exist. They're so smart. And who's this guy that's bringing them on the show? I really like this guy. And that was a really great thing. As Dave Rubin's career has gone on, there's this kind of criticism of him that he doesn't really bring a whole lot to the table, and his guests are all a lot smarter than him, which I feel like is kind of only a natural criticism for somebody who specializes in letting other people talk and asking them leading questions. So it's kind of like a little bit of an unfair thing, because it's like, okay, on the one hand, it's true he doesn't really say a whole bunch of his own opinions, but that's not his job, and there's a definite niche for what he does. But as a personal thing, like, and this is just my as a person that considers Dave Rubin a friend that I have never met or talked to, you know, like I like the guy. I think he's cool. I think he's nice. And when his show first came out, it was really important to me. And I might have even posted on Facebook that he was my hero just from having the people on. And I was very new to YouTube, you know. But as a personal thing, I do worry. I question his drinking habits, because it seems to me, from what I observe, that it's very likely that he drinks a lot and is not properly keeping up to date on learning the new information. He got comfortable in his position of just asking leading questions and is no longer doing his own legwork research all the time. And that would be my biggest thing. I just hope that he's really, really trying to keep sharp.
I just wondered, did he ever really keep up with what's going on beyond the occasional social justice headline? Like, I remember one of the episodes like that I watched of him, like when I think, what was his name, Thomas Sowell, like beat him up with facts. It's like he didn't even like his like Dave Rubin's like, oh, he beat me up with facts was just asking Dave Rubin a question that he couldn't answer, which isn't like, oh, that high. That was like kind of like my low point. Also relative to like everyone else, like Sargon or Thunderfoot or Armored Skeptic, I found Dave Rubin relatively late compared to them. So maybe it's because I had more of a backlog of expectations is why I judge him so harshly. That could also just be that. I don't know. That's all I got to say on that.
Could be. So, so what about this Chick-fil-A?
I don't know. It's basically Dave Rubin just came out and said bullshit because I guess the fucking Twitter dude ate at Chick-fil-A and like, oh, I got 10% off because coupon. And yeah, that's basically it. Some of this is just my laziness of didn't really want to dig up the fucking Jack article.
Yeah, so we all heard about that by now.
Yeah.
Before I move on to that, I just had one final thought on this one if we have a moment.
Absolutely.
Basically, like what's interesting about the Chick-fil-A controversy is there's really not much of a movement with it, right? Like it's really just all around like, oh, the CEO has these views, and then Chick-fil-A has some policies that are consistent with Christianity, like they're closed on Sunday, right? It's some pretty benign shit. But the first time around, like Chick-fil-A, their sales rose. Like it all backfired, all of this controversy. People were like, fuck you people, I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A and make a point of it to like give them more business. And I feel like basically this is like a decade later, and now the SJWs are kind of like circling back around to try to like do this again, or it's like they just can't fucking help themselves, right? Because they see an issue and it's like it's like they see it and they want to go for that emotional catharsis of like, yes, I found an issue to be self-righteous, but I get to help the gays and get to fuck the Christians, right? It's like it has all the elements, but like it's just like a trap. Like they're gonna lose every time, because every single time what happens is if they're the agitators, you instantly look bad. Like if instead it were Chick-fil-A trying to champion, like, hey everybody, just a reminder, we're these Christians who are totally against gay marriage, people would be like, fuck you. But then like the same people are like, fuck these activists, I'm gonna go buy a Chick-fil-A just to fucking prove a point, just because they're like fucking idiots who are all pissed off over nothing. So you know what I mean? It's like this total like backfiring thing, and it's like it's a trap that's designed to constantly lure in the SJW mentality. So basically we're gonna see this like every 10 fucking years. Every 10 years we're gonna see a Chick-fil-A controversy surrounding gay shit that's gonna backfire, and Chick-fil-A should just write it into their business model at this point.
Yeah. Well,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Well, it's a trap and it's gay. So do you want to move on to the San Francisco news?
Wait, are we going to talk about Jack? Because I feel like obligated to talk
Oh,
about Jack.
do you want to talk about Jack?
Well, yeah, for the audience's sake.
Okay.
So fucking Jack, fucking, what is his name again?
Isn't it Dorsey? Is his
Dorsey.
last name?
Dorsey, yeah. Mr. Crooked, the Zuckerberg of Twitter, who is just horrific. Like I as awful as Zuckerberg is and everything, he at least like sort of made himself into what he is. Like he did have a vision of how to make Facebook better than MySpace. And he was very crafty about how he found investors, and he did it from the get-go by unethically harvesting people's data. Like he would come up with these like when it was probably during the beta phases of Facebook, and he would ask people to he would put these really, really long contracts that you would sign to use the freeze service, and then it would, you would get all of the data from every person, and he would have like 20,000 people's data. And so he would write some business person up and say, hey, do you want the data from 20,000 people about, like their home address and stuff for their advertising demographics? And they'd be like, well, yeah, I'd be interested. I'm an advertiser. And he'd be like, yeah, okay, well, I have it. And he'd be like, oh, well, how'd you get it? And he'd be like, well, they gave it to me for free. What a bunch of dumb fucks. So and those emails were leaked, Zuckerberg doing that. So he was being unethical, but he at least was a business person that like created a business platform with advertising, with unethical advertising data practices. Like that's how he built Facebook to what it is. And then it became crooked and in bed with the Democratic Party after that. But, Facebook grew to be a very sizable platform during the Bush years. So that happened prior. Well, Twitter was created in the Obama years, and Twitter has never even been close to being a profitable platform. I think it is entirely a democratic, like an invention of democratic media. It's their little pet platform where they make the rules. There's entirely obviously double standards. Or there's little hallway monitors with the fucking checks on them, little fucking teachers' pets everywhere. And because there's very little advertising on Twitter, and I believe personally that the 140 character limit that was on there, which was obscenely short. I believe that it was deliberately short because they knew that if they forced everybody to split their thoughts up into multiple different tweets, it would be super easy to take people out of context, to smear them. And that's why they created the platform in the way that they did, is my theory. And so this guy, Jack, he's just the fucking asshole who happens to be in charge of this little puppet fucking social networking site that really, 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 really just needs to die, which basically just means he's a ranking officer in Democratic Party Incorporated. It's pretty much all he is. And so he got in. And by the way, anybody who's just joining us, this is not the article that we are looking at currently. That's not what that I'm talking about. So ignore that. I'm talking about Jack Dorsey, who's the CEO of Twitter. He is, basically just a puppet for Democratic Party Incorporated. One of their little people that, he's just going to do whatever. What's up?
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think they can see the article.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh.
So, he's just basically a ranking officer in Democratic Party Incorporated, which is, just a big old dumpster fire at this point. So he's supposed to totally back all of their politics at all times, right? Well, he managed to be stupid enough to post that he got some discount at Chick-fil-A, and he posted his little discount. And of course, the gays are outraged because Chick-fil-A is a business that the Democrats don't like because of the gay marriage thing, and everybody has been talking about that. And it's really funny because it's definitely one of those live by the sword, die by the sword situations with him, because his platform is so politically biased. There's so many smear campaigns that are politically motivated. He enables it so obviously with such a very clear bias, ever since Milo Yiannopoulos got kicked off of Twitter, and for nothing. He literally, all he did was write a negative review of Ghostbusters on Breitbart, and then other people started trash talking Leslie Jones, and then they kicked off Milo. Ever since that happened, we knew for 110% sure that Twitter was just a messed up little setup. But now that he did that, it's starting to. I mean, I don't have a conspiracy theory for what's actually going on, but that doesn't seem like a mistake that this guy would make just completely accidentally. It's absurd that he would make such a mistake. So,
well, I'm just wondering. I mean, aside from just a very brief splurt of it, why exactly they're taking his apology? They don't take anyone else's, it seems.
Well, they can't eat their powerful own. They can eat one of us, but or our equivalent in the social justice movement. They can't eat one of their figureheads. The system would collapse. And apparently he's important.
Yeah, the thing is, they're getting, well, I'm not sure if I'd call it over-easer or what, but they're basically getting bolder and bolder with it. I mean, it's just a matter of time before they start.
Oh, don't worry. We'll be getting into what else they're eating right now. Well, at least openly eating.
In fairness to the why does he get to be forgiven statement, that's not entirely true. On my Facebook timeline, there's gay guys who are like, I don't care about his apology. He felt that he should support anti-gay businesses during Pride Month. That is a disrespect, and he did it deliberately. And they're actually acting like that because there are the gay church ladies out there who
oh yeah,
they actually really, really, really have a lot riding on the fact that people are out to get them, and they will be sad if they find out that it's not true.
Well, I mean, so long as someone like Anita gives him, feminist communion and absolves him of his sins, everything's good as far as the news cycle will go. I mean, even if some random gay person's like, I don't like Twitter now because their CEO ate Chick-fil-A.
They'd be like, shut up, homo, he's a feminist.
Yeah, basically, they're gonna say, yeah, he basically gave money. He basically bought an indulgence from Anita. We don't have to worry about him.
Still, I think I need to get back on Facebook. I think I should go on there and just get a whole bunch of scenes out of porn movies and Photoshop in Chick-fil-A cups.
That would be fun.
One thing I think is really interesting about this article, though, is the thing that kicks it off, that the interaction with him and Soledad O'Brien. Because I really do believe that in this exchange, they're both Like, this is what they actually think. They're not acting like on behalf of anything else. This is like legit person to person. This is what they think. You know, she responds to it. This is an interesting company to boost during Pride Month, right? Because like she immediately perceives, oh, Chick-fil-A, this is like anti-gay, whatever. Right? That's just like on her radar, right? She's calling him out. Like, I believe that's like her legitimate concern. There's nothing behind it. And then his response, you're right, completely forgot about their background. I think that's entirely fucking genuine, right? I think that's like totally fucking believable. It's like, oh yeah, I was just like at Chick-fil-A, I like totally forgot about that contract. Because hi, it was like 10 fucking years ago, right? But what's interesting is where it forks from here. Because then it's like, if that's enough for you and you leave it at that, then this entire controversy, you kind of just accept it as sort of like this signaling thing. And all of that matters is like, did you signal or not signal, right? It's like the idea isn't like that they're actually trying to hurt Chick-fil-A. It's that they just want to send a message to them that like my business is off limits to you because of this thing, right? But then like there's all these gays who just see it and they're like, oh, so you're just gonna leave it at that. You're just gonna say, yeah, she's right, and then you're just not gonna do anything. Like you're not gonna like shit on them. You're not gonna like raise a bunch of money for gay people to like count offset it, right? And like there's such a defining aspect of a person's personality of like that point of like, if you see this exchange, see the acknowledgement, recognize that it's like a kind of a symbolic thing. Like that's one way of viewing all the situation versus people who are like, I guess, much more heavily steeped in the pragmatic, and they're like, no, we need to see fucking results, and like, you fucking cost us by that one sandwich, right? Like you set us back one sandwich and this tweet behind, and I need to see some restitution, right? And I think that's where like the whole, he didn't mean that it's disingenuous. It's because they're on that warpath mode and they're just trying to get their damages. So I don't know, I just like thought that was kind of an interesting how it plays out.
Could you imagine though, like Ghazi Kodzo going up to the Twitter headquarters, going, "You bought from Chick-fil-A, you owe me reparations."
Did you guys saw the footage of the Hotep Jesus guy who after this so there's this guy who's a black guy and he has like long dreads, but he is like not an SJW at all, and in fact he really hates SJWs, but he looks like he like obviously you would think that he would be an SJW. And so after the and he has a Twitter handle called like Hotep Jesus, I think is what it's called. And Sargon featured this in a video, and I had to watch, and then I followed the guy on Twitter. After the Starbucks controversy, you know, when they're trying to say Starbucks is racist, the guy was like, I guess he thought to himself, he's like, okay, this is so absurd because like everybody in Starbucks desperately wants not to be racist, like I've been, you know. So he was like, I bet that I could go and get a free coffee on camera by just asking for some. So he goes in with his kid with his like phone out, and he's like, I heard y'all was racist. I want me a free coffee. I want some reparations coffee for y'all racism. and they gave it to him.
I just got to look this guy up.
and then he gives it to his kid, and his kid makes this excited face like, holy crap, it worked. Like,
you learned the most important lesson of all.
And it's some white girl, and she's like, oh, I heard that. I would never. Yeah, I guess I can give you a free coffee. I mean, it's my last day anyway. So like,
shit, that's what I've been like all day.
She's like, do you want any flavoring in it? Like some vanilla or for some caramel? And he's like, some caramel. I would like some caramel in that. Like, it's really funny.
No, yeah, today was like my last day in the call center. So like, I'm just like making every fucking kind of joke I want. Just like, oh, the fucking computer's going Westworld on me. And they're like, did you just say fuck? And I'm like, it's my last day. My supervisor was like, these calls are the worst thing I've ever heard. Like, I'm so glad you're leaving. Go home.
Oh my god, my best friend works in a call center. First off, I want to say, congratulations on escaping.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a credit card vacation summer for like a month. It's gonna be amazing.
Shoot, on my credit card, you get a vacation about an hour, or something.
No, like what I mean, I'm just gonna like live off my credit card for like a month because fuck it. But anyway, that's not.
Yeah,
the point.
exactly.
The point is, Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us. Oh no, we were talking about that fucking funny ass story about like just like demanding reparations from random places. That should be a movie. Just some guy who's just crazy. He's just fucking off his rocker, and he just learned a way to survive. It's just to demand reparations from every single establishment he goes to, and he's just hopping across America that way. Like how amazing! I'd watch that movie. I've watched it many times. I do say
Go
so
about
myself.
20 years, and I would have cast Eddie Murphy in that role. That is some shit that he would have done back then. You know it.
I don't have enough. I might have a black friend who can play the role, but otherwise, I think is it incent? Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
We have more articles, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a few more articles. Want to move on?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so let's just skip the San Francisco article because it's just, we're celebrating a black woman being elected the mayor of San Francisco.
Oh wait, but I gotta say something real quick though, because she beat out what would have been the first openly gay mayor. But that's actually stupid because we had Gavin Newsom in San Francisco, and he was
he's a cunt.
Well, yeah, but and totally gay and a creep too. I had friends who would go to like sex parties at his mansion.
Oh, God.
Yeah, like some of my like particularly hot friends told me all about it. And he's all hanging out. He's trying to run for governor now, and he's all like endorsed by RuPaul on the.
Oh, he's gonna be the next governor, like because we got a Republican running against him. We're fucked.
Huh.
I hate him so much right now. He's basically Hillary Clinton. I mean, that's the only way I can relate how bad Gavin Newsom is to the rest of America. He's basically Hillary Clinton with a dick.
Well,
a real
yeah,
dick.
Yeah, he doesn't seem very cool to me now. But this Mark Lito, I don't want to say he seemed particularly cool, but I looked at both of their campaign homepages, and Mark Lito was at least like, he's been around for a long time. He's a gay guy. He's been out, and I at least like want there to be like the gays to sort of stay in charge in San Francisco, because they were starting to lose power while I was there, and things started to get worse and worse because a massive amount of San Francisco's soul is gay, and now they're trying to make it all intersectional, and this London breed is just she's heavily funded, and she's basically just like every little checklist of like progressive intersectional talking points is on her little homepage. And so this is a crying shame that she was the one who won. Not that he would have been some super, super great mayor necessarily, but she's very, very obviously just an intersectional corporate shill.
She's Hillary Clinton with a new paint job. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that's what she is. I'm so glad I don't live in San Francisco County. I mean, I know I live in a county that borders it, but I'm glad I don't live in it like directly.
Yeah, she's going to continue to bankrupt the city because the city is not doing good economically. Like, like nobody can afford to live there. There's a massive homelessness crisis. It's a sanctuary city, which is like bankrupting the entire state. And then they built all this new construction, like all these luxury apartments and condos, except for the prices of the luxury apartments and condos are dropping every year because nobody can afford to fucking move into them because they're all owned by foreign investors. They're all owned by like Chinese and other like Asian investors anyway. So it's just this sinking ship there, and somehow they think that maybe it's going to be okay because intersectionality or something, and it's like, no, it's not.
Let me, as someone who actually has like lived here, grown up here mostly, and lived in California and Western Nevada my entire life, I'm gonna like give like the rest of America like a lived here, born here kind of like perspective of what is like the Bay Area. San Francisco, and to a lesser extent Berkeley and Oakland, they're fucking insane. Like they're insane politically. These are cities that like even with the booming economy still manage to be like financially almost insolvent every fucking year. And then once you get past that, it's like it's normal America again. Well, normal-ish America, like New York normal America. And then it's like, okay, we're like doing our shit. We just want to like go to work, do our shit, drink some beer, and like fucking pass out, which is like the rest of California. It's just that we have really at least in the northern part of the state, we have really concentrated crazy that makes us all look bad.
Yeah.
And fucking London breed represents that really concentrated, like corporately sponsored crazy that's going to just keep fucking over a few counties until they implode.
So, yeah. Okay, let's move on to a new story. Nobody wants to hear about San Francisco politics.
Okay. Anyways, this is the gay news being we need our Polish conservative religious daddies to give us what we want because America's Supreme Court wouldn't rule in our favor, even though this is a entirely different subject. Anyways,
unlike U.S. Supreme Court, move back up to unlike U.S. Polish High Court rules against anti-gay business, which isn't actually what the ruling was about. And even the SJWs on my stupid ass Facebook timeline, where they're all completely brain dead and can't understand anything having to do with logic, even they actually looked at the decision and were like, oh, it's actually not so bad, guys.
Yeah, they ruled against the state, not against the business or for the business.
Jesus,
anyways,
the fucking advocate. Can we just call them the
Q-tips?
Yeah, I mean, no, but the advocate is like, what's a good word that starts with an A that is awful, like something bad? I don't know. We don't have to come up with.
They're the gay inquirer, basically.
Well, advocate technically means lawyer, so.
Yeah, or like the gay SPLC at this point.
Anyways, can I read some of this article? Because I've been kind of practicing my huffy gay church lady voice a little bit. Anyways, while the U.S. Supreme Court sided with a baker who refused to create a wedding cake for a gay couple, Poland's Supreme Court has ruled against a business owner who wouldn't print posters for an LGBT group. The Polish ruling released today, whatever the hell, June 14th, is that even today? No, it's not. Anyways, the Polish ruling released today upheld a decision by the regional court in Łódź, which ruled that the principle of equality before the law meant the printer didn't have the right to withhold services from an LGBT business forum. The Associated Press reports, thank the intersectional Jesuses. The printer, who was not identified by name in the AP report, had said that he didn't wish to promote LGBT rights. Zbigniew Ziobro, fuck Polish, Poland's justice minister and attorney general had brought the printer's case to the US. To the Supreme Court, had denounced the ruling. The Supreme Court has stood on the side of state violence in service of ideology of the homosexual activists, he said, according to the AP. And then they basically just go into how homophobic Poland is because everyone, like half the population, is still like really, really Catholic.
Yeah, for fuck's sake.
Well, it just turns out the gays have to go to their big conservative whipping boy daddies just to get their, way, even if it's in a country they hate and call Nazi.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyways, any comments, or do you want to move on to what their neighbors in Germany are doing?
Personally, no, but. Wait, no. I'm fine with talking about Germany. I don't have any comments. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Anyways, Germany is going to have state-funded educational feminist porn.
What?
That's what I was saying.
Is this like some deliberately misleading to combat? Oh my God, no.
I hope it's misleading and I just hope it is.
Yo, I know Rule 34 exists, but even I have limits here.
Is this gonna be is
you gotta read it in a sultry voice?
I'm Godfrey.
Oh, we can take turns.
By the way, Bacon, you should be presenting to everybody.
I think I am. Aren't I?
No, you need to click in your upper. Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm imagining like Lindy West being in charge of this or something. Like she would be the madam of the German porn. Like we all know. Like, can we just cut with the fucking formalities? Educational, state-funded feminist pornography. You mean state-funded fatty porn?
So true. Or lesbian porn. I mean, God forbid. Wait, is that the same thing?
Well, I mean, it certainly wouldn't be like the lesbian porn you'd find if you went on Pornhub, because that's different. With girls with like half-inch nails fingering each other.
Ow.
Well, this would be like 300-pound lesbian scissoring, and it just looked like a match with 20 people.
You guys are just close-minded.
Yes.
You know, normally I would say that being closed-minded is a bad thing, but feminist pornography is something I don't want to see.
There was a funny headline that my friend Ed Indro tweeted out, and it said, what did it say? It was like, new study shows that men are interested in having sex with fat women, but they don't want to date them. And he said, and his tweet response was, replace the word date with settle. So like, men are fine with having sex with fat women, but they don't want to settle for them.
This article is fucking fantastic. Like every single sentence is brilliant.
Let's read it.
Okay, let me get into it. Germany is considering making state-funded feminist porn and broadcasting it to the public to combat sexist stereotypes. The material, which would include fat, skinny, young, and old people.
No. You gotta read it sexier, like the material, which would include.
I have no sexy voice. My sexy voice is like, just want to do it.
Old people will be available on websites of public broadcasters ARD and ZDF. If the idea goes ahead.
I'm gonna steal this. I'm gonna steal this from the Honey Badgers, but this just proves they don't have porn sites in Germany. That they blocked them all.
So this is the Angela Merkel thing, who, remember, worked in the propaganda department in the communist East Germany back in the day. Like, she was a fucking full-blown communist propagandist.
I guess you could say Angela Merkel and her social democratic coalition partners really put the ass in assembly when they voted on the proposal in Berlin.
Damn.
So let's keep reading.
The delegates accepted a proposal from their youth wing to adopt the idea of government-funded feminist pornography for educational purposes as part of their party program. The SPD, the junior coalition party with Angela Merkel's Christian Party, is the biggest party in Berlin, where it governs together with coalition partners, the Greens, and the far-left Die Linke. I don't know, I fucking butchered that. Anyways, in the proposal, SPD wrote, mainstream porn generally shows sexist and racial stereotypes in which consent is not a theme and certain optimal body types are made a standard. I don't know, maybe because I want to fap to some, hot person, not some fucking fatty. I mean, I know I'm one to talk, but whatever.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be the dish to enjoy the dish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess this is just going along with Germany censoring like their internet. I wouldn't be surprised if Pornhub just isn't a thing there, and that this is like, no, you're watching like German like sex hub or whatever the government accepted site is.
So in these films, okay, I'll read. I thought you were going to pick it. Okay. In these films, sex seems more like a performance or competitive sport. Everything seems to work right away. There is no communication between the performers, no trying out failure and trying out new things. Wait, what? I don't.
Do feminists not understand that Deadpool's the only one that gets to break the fourth wall?
I'm confused. Okay, so
they can't suspend their disbelief while they're fapping to porn, apparently, and they're trying to break the fourth wall, which is a thing only Deadpool can do, by the way, and they're just trying to make feminist porn. I just don't know why. Why?
According to the SPD, it influences modern society in a negative way as youths have unrealistic imaginations of sexual life. Socialist youth member Heike Hoffman, 20, is one of the SPD members behind the proposal. Oh, surprise, surprise. She said, in feminist porn, there are fat, yes, emphasis on the fat coming first. In feminist porn, there are fat, skinny, young, and old people, and the sex is enjoyed by everyone. What about people who are neither fat nor skinny?
You're not letting in the normies feminists. What about them?
If your body's too average, then it's not progressive enough.
Yeah. in mainstream, well, yeah, I think no, because if you aren't either fat or skinny, you aren't oppressed enough. Yes. So in mainstream porn, sex is like a competitive sport. The focus is only on the woman who often is humiliated, and contraception does not matter. Young people should get more access to feminist porn. That's not entirely true. Really, I think that these are people saying that haven't actually watched or looked at a lot of porn. I mean, I wouldn't say it's uncommon that the woman is humiliated, because there is a lot of porn where women get, like cum dumped all over them. Like there was this I was hearing, I knew a lot of people who did porn in San Francisco Bay Area, and those things that they put on dogs, those like cone things that they put around their heads.
Yeah.
So they had some woman wear one of those and had so many guys jerk off into it that it started to like fill up, and she was gurgling supposedly. That is pretty fucking humiliating and everything. And yeah, there are, but the vast majority of porn, it's just bimbo looking, Pamela Anderson looking women having sex. A lot of it is lesbian, where, well, quote unquote lesbian, where there's two women like that, and they're fingering each other and sticking dildos into each other, and like that's a very, very popular category. And it's not, I mean, it's definitely like what the type of women that straight guys are into, but it's not anything inherently degrading unless you are horribly offended by the fact that some women look like that. I guess is the best way for me to describe it. I've worked at a porn store before, so I
Well, yeah, and they're gonna read the humiliation into it too, where it's not there, or like to them it's like they're much more sensitive to it because they're looking for it.
Anyways, the idea might have been inspired by Sweden, shocker, where in 2009 the State Film Institute spent $45,000 Doctor Who money financing Dirty Diaries, a series of short porn films produced by a female artist. No fucking shocker, and they're hoping the public agencies, I guess, will buy some of these bullshit.
Okay.
Oh God, Germany, why?
Okay, next article.
I had a quick thought on this.
Well, they need thoughts for this.
Right. Well, no, it's what. Yeah, right. That's funny. But like, it's kind of like the presumed purpose of porn is for fapping, but like with this approach, they just want the purpose of porn. They want to repurpose porn to be pedagogical, to be like educational as well. But the problem is that like if you want art or porn to either be like educational or to be like artistic, there's already a fucking medium for that, and it's fucking movies. Like there's already sex scenes in movies. Like it's already a thing. So it's just like weird to try to ham fist feminism into just like porn that's clearly there for fucking like impulse fapping, when there's already a medium out there for like if you wanted to have this kind of like sex scenes and these kinds of sexual depictions, there's already places to put that. Like just think about any movie. If you were to replace like any sex scene in like a movie you saw with just like a scene from a porn, like it wouldn't work. It wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean?
So, oh, hey, by the way, just real quick, less than half of the people watching this have actually smashed the like button, so please do. Secondly, just speaking of porn, I want everybody to know, did you guys watch my video about Michael A. Hoffman, the straight guy who,
Yeah, that was really sad.
Yeah, that was a sad video.
I did when it was new, and it was very sad.
Yeah, so that video has been a sleeper hit. I knew that it would be. It's garnered close to 25,000 views or so. I've brought it up probably a few times, and yeah, to me it was. I think I brought this up maybe like last week or the week before. I don't really remember. But it was a really, really sad story, because this is just some straight guy who was pretty young. Like I don't even think he was 21 when he started doing this, and he just happened to be like particularly hot. He looks kind of like a hotter Jonas brother. Like he looks like a hotter version of Nick Jonas. And somebody or other, like he was a bodybuilder, and he took flexing porn or flexing muscle pictures of himself, and then some gay guy or another found him and was like, I'll pay you considerable amount of money if you do nudes. And he lived in like Fresno or Reno or some city that there's not a whole lot of people. It's not like he's living in Hollywood or San Francisco where he like understands what might happen if he takes the money and does that. He lives in a relatively small place, and he's just some straight guy who's obviously not very smart. And he starts doing it and selling his nudes, and he probably gets off on it at first because he's a bodybuilder. He likes people lusting after him, and then like all of a sudden, a bunch of different gay blogs get a hold of some of the videos and start linking it everywhere, and like every gay guy hears about him within like a month. I was one of them. Like I remember like everybody's forwarding it around being like, whoa, look at this guy, he's so hot, oh my god, because he's really 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 quite hot. And he's kind of like a game changer. He's the type of guy that would make a 11-year-old realize he's gay. But what I found really really disappointing is that my whole point in the video was that he started sort of talking about how it was messing with his head, and he felt really insecure about being in porn, and people would recognize him on the street, and gay guys had no sympathy for him at all. Like they were just kind of like continuing to be like, oh, whatever, what do you think was going to happen, you stupid straight boy? And then it's like, okay, yeah, but she probably masturbated about him too, so it's kind of really really bad that you would treat him so bad because you found him desirable. And then people started commenting, like that was my point in the video, and then people started leaving comments being like, I don't have any sympathy for him, he's fucking dumb. And I'm like, let me guess, you masturbated about him? And I'm like, and they'd be like, yes I did, and I don't feel sorry for it. And then a number of people, like I got similar responses, and then one of the things that they brought up is they kept saying over and over that he confessed to ripping people off and stealing their money. And finally one of them bothered to actually link me to the supposed confession, and it wasn't actually a confession. It was saying, hey, I know that some people have been bugging me where they said that they've paid me and I haven't given them the videos that I promised. I'm not going to lie, that's happened, but I'm planning on curing it. So if I've done that, just send me a message. I'll send you the videos. I apologize for not doing it sooner. So what that sounds like to me is that he got a lot of requests and he was busy and didn't always have time to send people a bunch of files. Like, that's not the same as ripping people off exactly. He was trying to get it to them. That's the whole purpose of making the fucking video that he was saying. And it's just like, geez, you guys are just looking for any excuse you can to not feel bad about the fact that you were part of the people that contributed to ruining this guy's life. And that's my final thought about porn. So.
No, I'm wondering why they would get all defensive like that. I mean, and that's even after admitting, yeah, I whacked him. It's like, why would it hurt them to be a little bit sympathetic? I mean, you can be both.
Yeah,
circling the wagons around their fap.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's so hard for gay men to be simultaneously compassionate and lustful. Like, it's like, look, we're dudes. Like, we're not saying we want to marry him. We're not saying we want.
I will though.
Yeah, I would like to.
Well, no, but we're not saying.
I would take that bullet.
No, but we're not saying that we, want to like grow old with him and visit him at like be super super compassionate and like be his best friend and send him like be his pen pal and like blah 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 blah. We're just saying he's particularly hot, and also that it's kind of messed up that he made this mistake in which it ended up being that people in his hometown started recognizing him on the street, and it made him really paranoid and unhappy. And like, we can feel bad about that. And like, we didn't do anything wrong for fucking for being attracted to him and masturbating to his photos. We can also feel bad about his situation. you know, it ultimately it was his choice to have that stuff go out to the internet, and we didn't do anything wrong by looking at it, but like we can still feel bad. You know, it's like we shouldn't feel bad for masturbating, but we should feel bad that, you know, these gay blogs published it and, you know, acted like and then people continue to act like it's I have never seen like I made that video because I never saw a single source even acknowledge how messed up his situation might be. Instead, they were publishing articles about how he was having mental breakdowns and basically laughing at him because they knew that was good clickbait. And it was like, whoa, that's where it gets really messed up, you know? So
that is just sick.
Yeah, that's scavenging at that point.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think the scavengers would take offense to being lumped in with that group.
I just think that gay men have gay men have major hatred for attractive men that they feel are out of their league. And it's something that every guy has to reconcile with themselves, because it's like straight guys get that too, you know, like there's straight guys who fucking hate women that they think are snotty, you know, like if they think a girl's snobby, they fucking hate them, you know. But I think that gay guys get it much more because it's not simply I want to fuck this guy, it's also I want to be like this guy, and that's an extra, you know, extra problem. For me, I got past that at a certain point in my life when I realized that I had had sex with enough of the guys. You know, I had sex with about like 10 guys that were like hottest guy I had seen in months, you know, and then I had sex with them. And like eventually it was like, okay, I don't have anything else to prove to myself about some sort of like self-esteem. Like I can get hot guys, like I know that. So if I am at a bar and there's a hot guy, I could be like, hey, by the way, you're really cute, can I grab your ass? Often he'd be like, okay, and I would, and then I would talk to him, and most of the time he wouldn't be interested in like actually having sex with me or anything. Though I did have sex with guys after doing that. Like sometimes that way of introducing myself, and I would always ask. Sometimes that did lead to having sex, but very often it didn't, and that was fine. Like I was okay with that because I no longer had anything to prove, and really, really attractive guys are very, very used to guys talking to them who are attracted to them, who they don't want to sleep with. And if you're willing to just be nice to them and have a conversation with them, chances are they appreciate that, because a really, really attractive guy at a gay bar actually often doesn't have all that good of a time because guys are bitchy to him, because they sit there thinking that like it's not like it's not like a really, really good looking gay guy goes into a gay bar and everybody's like sucking up to him all super, super sweet. No, that's not what it is. It's more like they're pretending that they fucking hate him because they actually all want to fuck him. And it's weird. It's weird and messed up. So if you have the personal tenacity to get past that and just treat him like a normal dude, chances are he's going to probably be nice to you. He might not sleep with you. He probably won't, but he'll probably at least appreciate that you're friendly to him. That's my advice. So let's move on to this next.
It's good advice.
Okay, anyways, this is something that Katz sent me, so I don't think I really read through this. It's apparently some lady named Rachel Bloom and Neil. Wait, is Rachel Bloom the bitch from the sex drunk video? I vaguely remember that name. Anyways, former Tony Award host Neil Patrick Harris wasn't at Sunday night's ceremony, but he was apparently watching attentively. If his Twitter commentary has any indication, one Tony tweet in particular, however, got him in a bit of trouble, which is, who is this woman at the top, in the top hat backstage at the Tony Awards? Gideon remarked that she says like and oh my god a lot. I'm confused. The woman was Rachel Bloom, the co-creator of the TV musical comedy My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Bloom is ineligible to be present. Bloom is ineligible to present at the Tony Awards because she never performed on Broadway. But the self-described theater geek acted as a backstage correspondent this year, as she did during last year's show. Harris, as a Tony's devotee, might have recognized her from that gig of one of multiple occasions he has met Bloom in person, as she has mentioned in her polite response. Anyways, I don't know. This just shit happened, I guess. I don't follow celebrity gossip. Spacepan, this is your thing mostly. Sorry if I'm shoehorning you. Or pigeonholing.
You're muted.
Oh.
Not you.
Oh, sorry.
Derek.
Hey, what's up?
He wanted you to say something, I think.
I don't know.
I was looking at it links to this article about women being over-policed in their language. So I was like stuck in a thing. Sorry.
Alex, I'll take things that are the reverse of what is true for 500.
I know, right? It's crazy. So it opens up by admitting, like, so women overuse like and just and apologize a lot, and that like maybe has something to do with why we're like not as successful. But I mean, come on, men do it too. But it's like, no, that doesn't like anyway. So I was like seeing if there was like a study or anything on that. But yeah, this like whole back and forth, I think it's just so stupid and overblown because it all hinges on that. It all hinges on whether this is like a systemic sexist issue. It's like Neil Patrick Harris is like, oh, sorry, I guess I was kind of insensitive to forget someone who I like spoke with for 15 minutes or whatever. I don't know. It's, you know what I mean? It's like Twitter controversy. It's like where's the moral? Where's the lesson here? And like a lot of this article, its importance is hinging on whether or not it's true as to whether or not women are actually over policed on their language.
Yeah. Oh, and also for those of you in chat wondering, yeah, Rachel Bloom is the sex junk bitch. Just gonna throw that out there.
Oh, I love that song. Because my sex junk is so
My vagina has its own voice.
God, if that didn't make me want to date women. God.
Oh my God, that was okay. Like the early, the first 6 months of media that came out, like after Donald Trump won the election, which I like to think is the pre-existing like the media that was supposed to be the new media of Hillary Clinton's administration, and then oops, she didn't win, but then a few things had pre-existing contracts, and so yeah, Bill Nye, and then there was this show called what was that one? Oh Jesus! Oh, it was similar. I've talked about it in videos, but yeah. It was a pre-existing contract. There was no way that they actually thought that would fly during the.
Oh, the Francesca Ramsey bitch. Didn't she get something?
Oh well, they gave her a new season of Decoded, even though they like don't even really put it on YouTube anymore. It's only
didn't they give her its Comedy Central show for like 5 minutes?
I think that they gave her like a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know who I heard that they're trying to make a TV show pilot out of was also Lindy West, but I don't think anything has happened with it.
Can she even fit on a camera? Like within
I don't know if she's supposed to star in it. I think that maybe she's supposed to be writing it. But of course, I don't think that she has any script writing experience. Like, it's like, no, Lindy, you can't make an entire half-hour person.
Well, all we can say
talking about how.
Oh, you cut out a little bit, Prince. Wait, did we lose him? Anyways, all I was going to say about Lindy West, her only qualifications is she's a fat cunt that can get a Twitter spat going.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Prince is still in the hangout, so I wonder if...
Did his mic die or something?
I don't know.
Well, I can't check the controls or without... how?
Is he still up eventually?
Okay. Well, does anyone else have anything else, or do you want to move on to the next article, which is actually something that I care about, sort of?
Sure.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, sorry, I was looking at this article at thecut.com, the one that it links to, because it is actually a really interesting article, like the claim they're trying to make. And like there's a part of this here where they're talking about like they don't want to have to cut out extra words and things that they add because they like the way that things sound. They like conveying it that way. But like what's really one-sided about it is just this insistence on like, I want to speak this way, but I also want to force the way you interpret it, like the way you take it also has to be the way I want. And it's like, you know, if you're gonna champion this like freedom of expression, you have to also kind of champion the freedom of like of interpretation too. Just kind of the weird thing about it. But yeah, this article, like there's nothing really empirical about this. It's just like really, really wishy-washy. Mm-hmm. So this whole idea of like, oh, women are overpoliced with their language, that's just like another like bullshit fake feminist issue. Or like if you every single fucking time if you click the link and like try to look into it, it just falls apart like really, really quickly. Mm-hmm. Like the mark of a feminist is that they don't fucking verify anything, it looks like.
I don't know. Anyways, let's move on because this is actually kind of funny and sad news at the same time. What is the hashtag drop the B and why should you care? Which is there's this thing. There are more than two genders. LG cross out the B then T. Now I know we don't usually talk about bi issues considering I'm kind of the one person on here that's bisexual, and yeah, intersectionality has basically destroyed bisexuality as a, I guess, concept or whatever horrible rape joke I can make here. I'm too tired and drunk to even care to make one. Anyways, I'm just going to start reading this bullshit. Members of the LGBT plus, mine just vomited, community have responded to the biphobic calls to drop the B from the LGBT acronym. The movement, which started out of 4chan, claimed that the B represents bisexuality and the acronym excludes people who do not identify with the gender binary. The hashtag drop the B implores the queer community to reject bisexuality in the LGBT acronym. There are more than two genders, hashtag drop the B. And here's some virtue signaling Despacito #2 feminist. A series of campaigning memes have circulated in a bid to remove the letter from the widely used group of letters that represent the breadth of the GLBT, fuck you, queer as a word community. More than two genders, hashtag drop the B. The sad thing is I've actually seen a few like posts on Twitter over today actually supporting this as a concept. So I think they're kind of they might free bleed this one into existence.
Well, here's what I don't get. Mm-hmm. They're wanting to drop you guys. They're telling us that we're ruining the parade. Mm-hmm. They're starting to crack down on the some of the lesbians as TERFs, you know, and all that stuff. So exactly why the fuck are they in the community to begin with? They don't like any of us.
Well, and also, are they going to drop Two-Spirit also?
Oh god, they have the potential. They have the potential to alienate tens of people doing that.
I know, right? But if I wonder, it'd be really funny if like the bisexual people then had to like get themselves into it by like using a Two-Spirit style of argument of being like, okay, but we like spiritually feel that there's two sexual orientations that were oriented two ways distinctly, and that's how it is, and we're not necessarily saying there's only two genders, but that's why it's the bi. You know what I mean? They have to like really like those roundabout mental gymnastics, just like. I don't know, maybe if you're native and bi.
Technically speaking, the SJWs have already redefined bisexuality to your own gender plus others, in the words of that fucking bitch Ash Hardell. I mean, normally she's cute and nice, but when she starts getting into redefining terms, I'm going to be a cunt if she's going to be one. That's kind of my standard. I know it's low and it's kind of bitchy, but it's my standard. Yeah, if you're going to redefine who I like self-describe myself as without my consent, I'm gonna fucking be a bitch to defend myself. It's my right as someone who is kind of gay.
Anyways, well, we just round up, so you know you're good.
But yeah, it's I can actually see this becoming an actual movement once the Q-tips get it in their head. Oh, actually, I got to stop presenting myself. Hold on. Oh, bad. Stop. God damn it. I don't know how to use Google Hangouts. Anyways, hopefully I'm not presenting to everyone. Am I presenting to everyone? Oh, God, I don't know.
It said that you're no longer presenting.
Yay, I'm not presenting anymore.
And I noticed that Prince disappeared, so hopefully he'll be coming back in here in a moment.
Hopefully. But yeah, anyways, I can imagine this becoming an actual movement once the Q-tips get involved. Because it's fucking pink news. They back down as soon as the intersectional wind blows in a different direction, even if it's just a fucking brain fart. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, you bisexuals, you're just so transphobic. You should be pansexual now." Like, fuck you. And then all the bi people like me normally just fuck off, or just fuck off. Which is actually the subject of a video I made recently. Was like, why would I ever be Gigtown? The answer is no, because that's like the default position for being bi.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Like being gay makes someone MGTOW on accident, but then being bi kind of makes you GigTOW on accident.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I really don't consider myself to be MGTOW. I'm like, that's their thing. I totally support them, but I kind of feel like the weirdo in the room.
Right, but you're never gonna marry a woman.
Again.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Oh shit, yeah, I guess you don't get to be MGTOW. You're kicked out. Yeah, you can't even be MGTOW on accident.
Yeah, well,
One drop rule.
Well, she was a lesbian until after we got divorced. It's the damnedest thing.
Give back your gold star.
Fine. Hey, welcome back, Prince.
If you're talking, we can't hear you. But he's back.
Mm.
I guess he could just sign to us.
Can you hear
Prince,
me?
if you can hear us,
Yeah,
give
now
us
we
a
can hear
sign.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. My Chrome first froze, and then it was like not responding, and then I was like trying to get it to start again, but that took like 7 minutes or so. So yeah, because computers like to break.
Mm. Oh, they love that.
I also think this hashtag is funny because drop the B it sounds like dropping a deuce, just like
Wow.
Can we drop the feminism, please? Can we get a hashtag that going?
Also, what the fuck is the one with like the kid with the T in the background? I just want to make that a thing. Just have like me looking smug with fucking T, and then I'm gonna put like little slogans on the front of it all the time. Let's see how well that works.
So by the way, I have to go to the bathroom. I will be back soon.
Okay, anyways. So yeah, I know the feminists have fully purged, bi guys mostly from the, their soup, their, well, I guess collective consciousness or whatever the fuck they're going with their definition now. But I guess this is just, even though it's from 4chan, it'll get picked up like fucking Free Bleeding was, and well, get taken to its full fruition. It will be replaced the B with a P, and I will probably send a very angry, drunken tweet at Ash Hardell. Okay, anyone else got any input? I have two people.
Not really. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking about this, and I'm just thinking it all goes back to the same position. If they got a problem with everyone, why the fuck are they there to begin with?
Well, because they have
their own community.
Well, that's because that takes work, and if there's one thing feminists don't like, it's actually working for something. They just like going into places and infesting.
Oh, now don't give me that. You know that they are trying to get work. They're trying to get work equality, so they can get those cushy ass sewer jobs. They are going to bust that glass cellar.
Yeah, but they just like burrowing into shit and just be like, yeah, this is ours now. They don't want to do the work.
I think this top comment on the article is really interesting, where they're like, "Dear transphobes, bisexuals are not yours to use as a weapon against other groups. All the people posting that are cisgender people pretending to speak for non-binary people. They sound a lot like the same anti-trans activists who constantly deny people's rights and use labels that they feel best describes their own experiences." And it's just like why did you like so they immediately go and be like, this is a bunch of divisive bullshit and it's all cis people. Like
oh, for fuck's sake.
Like they can't help themselves, but just like always eat their own.
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah, just not nearly enough. I want them to eat more, harder,
it's like
faster.
Obviously a troll too. It's like obviously a joke, like originating in.
So are there people who are now non-binaries who are claiming that other people aren't non-binaries? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's 4chan's is stirring up the pot again by saying let's drop the B from LGBT because it's transphobic, and the morons are actually going for it like they did with.
Of course they are.
It's basically the gay free bleeding is what's happened. It's starting to happen.
Mm.
Well, here's a commentator who insists it is real because the National LGBTQ Task Force in the USA was forced to apologize to bisexual people when one of its officers posted an FB that she hopes to see bisexuality erased, which is a really funny way to put, like, Jesus Christ.
Well, they don't even
phrasing.
keep their own shit going. Their own shit.
Pick a side.
Huh.
Well, I did pick a side. I don't want to deal with crazy ass women.
I'm gonna tally that with the MGTOW.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think I've mentioned this to cats. If I was straight, I probably would be a MGTOW. I mean, literally, me being able to be into dudes is like the only reason why I do have a dating life, even though it's pathetic.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I had to date women.
Well, I stopped, so there's that.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could. Do they still make bull dykes? Because I figured that'd be the ones that'd be the most fun.
True.
I mean, I could ride motorcycles, wrestling, drinking, smashing beer cans on my head and stuff with them. It'd be great.
I just don't know. I just actually don't know what it would be like. I really I had this woman that I lived with for about a year and a half, and it was like we were dating, but she was actually like just really, really, really psycho. So I don't want to actually use her to be some sort of measurement of how women actually are in any way. Because I've also dated some really, really bad guys. And actually, like in particular, this one boyfriend of mine was really, really practically about the same as her, except for at least she cleaned. So
So apparently, if you like image search like the original images to promote this campaign, it is like there was like all stolen images and everything. So like more likely than not, it's all like fake ass shit. But like the idea makes enough sense under like SJW theory that the idea that people did it for real isn't that far fetched either. Like undoubtedly that happened too, but not as like a much of a movement, I don't think.
yeah, no,
It's a really funny concept though.
I think that I wonder if I should make a video. Remind me to make this video, guys. Bisexuals versus pansexuals, the eternal battle. That would actually be a really funny episode of like a little skit, you know, like people like talking about like the pansexuals trying to convert the bisexuals into the intersectionality. They would resist for whatever reason, and so.
Well, it forces you to wonder, like, what is the pansexual into that the bisexual person really isn't keen to include?
The only thing I could really understand about why pansexuality is justified is if you're actually trans and you're still kind of like, what the fuck do I consider myself because I'm like mid-transition? Like I could understand that, but it's not that. I wear flannel and I'm a lesbian, so I'm pan now.
Yeah, and like I made out with a trans person one time or something. I just feel so bad for these poor trans people who like this has to happen a lot because I've been around people that are in these situations where like I've been approached by a trans guy who it was at this like fucking queer party, one of the last like queer parties I went to, and it was like they had a sign on the door saying that it's a safe space for queer people and they're legit allies is what it said. And I was approached by a trans guy, barely even trans, just trans enough to have some facial hair, but like that did not look like a dude, had big hips and shit. And he like asked if he could dance with me, and I was like, sure. And then he like leans over and starts bumping and grinding against me, and I was like, okay. And I kind of like played along just because why not, and then but I obviously like wasn't actually into it, and then he like walked away all like very suddenly, and I realized that he was like completely entitled to thinking that like I'm supposed to like play along a little bit better or something, because apparently everybody in Seattle like actively is supposed to pretend like they're into trans guys if they're a gay guy or they're not cool. And so there must be a bunch of trans guys who are like guilting gay guys or guilting straight females into having sex with them, and if you're an intersectional, you'll do it. But like, you're having sex with people that don't want to actually have sex with you, and that has to actually be happening sometimes. And then, like, what happens when you realize that happened? Like, what happens when you realize that over the past 2 or 3 years, a huge percentage of the people that you had sex with didn't actually really want to have sex with you, and they just like kind of did it anyway?
Don't the
they
feminists call
hashtag
that
me too.
rape?
Hashtag me too.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess that's kind of like the phenomenon where you have this consciousness raising with second wave feminism, and then you have all these women who are like, "Oh my god, I just realized I was raped."
Yeah, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess.
So this comment was also really amusing. This person's like, "This was started by anti-LGBT clowns like you. No LGBT folks hang out on 4chan." And then this person goes, "Incorrect. LGBT people don't hang out on 4chan." That made me happy.
Well, Spaceman, don't you hang out on 4chan periodically? Maybe.
No, I get all of my memes from the fucking gutters. I get it from fucking Facebook after it's like third hand fucking trash. I catch up that way. It's brilliant. I love it. I'd rather have it no other way. Oh, and I watch Amelia fart videos now on YouTube. That's my news source.
Yeah, I don't like 4chan. I think it's there's so many things wrong with the notion of not just like, okay, so like having an anonymous message board where you don't actually know who this person is, that's fine. But when it's like you don't even get to have a screen name, that's pushing it. And also, like, there's like a character limit and all this stuff. It's like, okay, there's no way I could get into this. Like, even if it wasn't the demographic that it is, which I don't know if that's an appealing demographic to me anyway, but that's not even the issue. I don't like the way that the message board is set up. Like, I can get into Reddit if I'm like really, really, really bored and there's like no YouTube at all and I can't make videos at all. Like, there was like a brief phase where I was going on Reddit, but 4chan now.
4chan is really just like ugly and shitty, and it got ruined, so it's just like awful. But like Reddit is also ugly and shitty, but it at least redeems itself with like solid content, like funny lies people tell to children, like the fact that the ice cream truck is only a music truck.
You mean it's not?
He's like, "Dude, mom, the music truck also sells ice cream. Did you know that?" There were so many good ones. I wish I could just remember all off the top of my head forever. And Explain It Like I'm Five is so good. Mildly Interesting is just like always on point. The other day I saw a picture of a goose that was sitting on some grass that it made it look like it was a giant goose sitting on a forest. It was mildly interesting. I love Reddit. Let's get Reddit to sponsor us.
I don't think so. I've triggered too many libertarians on Reddit.
Yeah, maybe it's not a thing, but that actually helped us get that cred back, I think. Except not any of the minarchist libertarians. Never mind, we're awful to libertarians.
I don't know. I like triggering them on Reddit. It's just fun because they take shit way too seriously, and it's just like, yeah, I'm only here to like drop some shit and watch you guys like fight over it. Kind of like I do with SJWs.
Seriously, we're definitely guilty of that.
Yeah, but what pissed me off about Reddit is that like there's a really, really easy function for them to like have like a bot that makes it so that if you're subscribed to it, or if you're like a member of any sort of forums, they will automatically boot you if you ever post. So like if you follow men's rights and then you try to post in like any feminist forum, they'll ban you immediately. Like and a bot does it. Like you don't even have to break the rules.
So that's kind of shitty.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying. And
I mean, how do they expect you to make an informed opinion?
You're not supposed to if you're a feminist. It's like a religion.
Yeah.
You just accept it.
No, well, feminists thought the culture war is over. They've won. Everybody else is just, they're just trying to get everybody on the train to the gulags. But then they realize, wait, the war isn't over, and wait, we're maybe not winning. But that was, that was like before the election that I noticed that it was like that. Maybe it's changed a little bit. Like because the feminists are backpedaling about a lot of things. Like I included this in a video. There's some feminists that went on Steven Crowder, and I don't know if she watched my video or anything, but I doubt it. But I actually made a video about this. I was like, why don't people like when people use the word privilege, most of the time they don't mean privilege, because privilege means something that's exclusive to one group, and white people like pretty much don't get any privileges at all ever, like at all. There's almost nothing that only white people are given in the United States, and anything that anyone ever comes up with to justify this supposed white privilege is, they're like, well, the privilege of being able to walk down the street and not knowing and not fearing that a police will shoot you. And it's like, well, white people do actually get shot by police. Like, so like none of these fucking stupid things. But I will concede that there, in many, if not more than probably, I would say definitely most situations in life, maybe not in the current year, but hey, 9 years ago, most situations in life, it was definitely advantageous to be white. So how about we just get rid of the word privilege and start using the word advantage instead? Like what, like, well, that's you being advantaged by being in the majority, or you being advantaged by being white, or whatever. Like that was a whole video that I made. Well, some fucking feminist went on Louder with Crowder, and he said, so you mean to tell me that I have male privilege? And she's like, I don't like the word privilege. I like the word advantage. And it's like, oh, that's a new one. That's a new one. That's a new one. Yeah, because it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. People were saying that to you cunts for years and years and years, and you would not budge. And then the second you like lose an election, then all of a sudden you grow reasonable. All of a sudden you see the point, and it's like, and you're pretending like you saw it on accident, like you came to that conclusion yourself, or no. That was not you coming to that conclusion yourself. That was you forcing to concede after you realized that you didn't get to rewrite all of the rules and to suit your own, to suit your own image. And there's a number of things that they've been doing. Like I've noticed that, okay, so like the bane of my existence on YouTube right now, the new Cat Black, at least to me, but I think so kind of to a certain degree, is ContraPoints, who is just awful. And ContraPoints doesn't refer to non-white people as people of color. ContraPoints uses my term, racial minority. And I've heard ContraPoints say racial minority more than once. And I just have to wonder, like, oh, are people starting to realize that calling people person of color person is pretty like racist? Are people starting to realize that that's a liability, and that if they started using racial minority, like people would have less of a reason to be offended? Like, are they, so the backpedaling, it is quite interesting. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Elliot.
Okay.
I actually had a thought on that too, which is the issue with defining privilege is like what they'll do is they'll say, here's a way that African Americans, so like just like black people, because it's like misleading, but like here's where like black people are disadvantaged, right? And then they say, okay, you don't deal with that, that's white privilege. It'd be more accurate to say it's non-black privilege, right? Because you just define something that disproportionately affects that group. You could flip it into a privilege by just making it the negation of the group that's experiencing it, and we wouldn't really have a problem. But the problem is that's too intersectional, because then we're including like the other group. So it's like too complicated. I don't know. But like I was just thinking about that, to never do it that way. The other thing too is I think the use of the term privilege over advantage was, this might be conspiratorial, but it's kind of strategically convenient. I think that the term privilege has a connotation of like wealth, of upper class. It's very posh, right? It has it has a connotation of being sheltered, right? So I think it's kind of a subtle way of being like, oh, you're privileged. Like it's a little bit of a class warfare kind of dog whistle, I think.
Wait, so it's a class warfare kind of a dog whistle. I mean, okay. I think that definitely, like the demonization of privilege definitely is a very communist Marxist type, Maoist even. They had that. That was a very, very common thing. Like where the poor were seen as virtuous, and people that had wealth were seen as non-virtuous, and they would like throw people out of windows at universities if they determined that they were too wealthy. And there's definitely that. I don't know. Have you ever read the essay that really kicked off the privilege? Because there was a specific essay that came out that is still circulated to this day, even though it was written in 1989. Have you guys ever read it?
I don't think I have.
I
Okay.
might have been forgotten.
It's called White. I think it's called White Privilege: Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack.
Oh, I had to read that bullshit
Oh
for class.
God.
It's
Yeah, I've read it.
It's written by a woman named Peggy McIntosh. But
No.
here's the thing: it was written in 1989, and like it was the first of its kind. And taking that into account, it's not a completely horrendous thing, because nobody had ever said, sort of like published in any sort of academic setting, these are a bunch of things that I take for granted as a white person, that are most common for me as a white person, that I experience, that makes my life better than, say, a black person. And of course, she wasn't intersectional about it. I'm sure she wasn't being like, oh, so this happens to me, like I trust that when I call the cops, they're going to be coming to help me instead of harming me. And a black person doesn't always feel the same. It's like, correction, a black man doesn't always feel the same. I bet black women usually get a better time when they call the police, just for the record. If a black woman calls us, my boyfriend's trying to beat me, they probably come. They probably help her, just for the record. But so that that essay, I don't think that it was particularly loaded. I don't think that she was imagining where that word would end up. Like I don't think I'm sure she but hey, I don't fucking know. I don't know anything really about this woman. Maybe it was a total deliberate like reframing of reality, where like I think that the affirmative action stuff started happening in the 1980s. Is that when it started happening, or the 1970s even?
It was 70s was affirmative
I think it's
action.
70s.
Okay, no, I take that back then, because affirmative action was, if it was going on since the 70s, then that was, because affirmative action, boom, that's privilege. Like that's an actual privilege. If someone is getting something by virtue of their skin color, after people have abolished things like segregation, and it was supposed to be illegal to discriminate against people based on race, and yet they decided to do this little thing where they positively discriminate against people. There wasn't any tangible privileges for white people, and so they had to kind of like reframe reality, and try to like I guess the advocates of social engineering had to try to be like, well, but white people are still, and so they had to like come up with like the consolation prize, which is this white privilege thing, which is, I mean, linguistically a myth. I don't like saying that there's no white privilege, but that I only say that simply because people just forget what the word privilege actually means. Linguistically, there is no white privilege pretty much ever, but there's a massive amount of white advantage, and that's what people are thinking of. But it's funny that they're having to backpedal, like I said.
Well, they kind of have to with after how horrible they've been. I mean, oh God, what was I going to go? My brain just farted. Pass. Oh yeah, with the is it okay to hate men? I mean, I think that's probably going to be like the down. I think that it's a pretty good show that we're on the downswing of their bullshit, where they're trying to retreat and go back and hide and cower while they regroup and reform into fifth wave feminism, whatever the fuck that will end up being.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that was like their last like, oh my God, we want to be, this whole systemic like oppression that we've been talking about. Yeah, well, we want to be one. I think that's like their last like hurrah, where it's like, yeah, we're just dropping all the fucking pretenses. Let's just see if that works, which it probably won't. I mean, obviously it won't, because I don't think anyone wants that. But I think that was like their last like ink, like blasting out ink like an octopus, where they're just gonna like scuttle away and like reform into fifth wave feminism.
Yeah. I it's so funny though, because it's like, well, I mean, they were able to do it in the past. Like, I want to say this time they're not going to get away with it because the internet never forgets. But even if things are written down, people forget to look at them after about 20 years, because like you talk to Paul Elam and he's like, I don't know what y'all thinking, but fucking like I've read the fucking second wave feminism books and they were every bit as bad as the current ones,
Not to mention they'll have a new crop of young people to try to indoctrinate between now and 2030 or whatever.
Yeah, and that's what I think it ultimately really, like, every social justice PC fight for the rights of the most vulnerable, blah 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 blah. It's something that comes certainly once every 20 years, arguably once every 10 years to a certain degree, or really maybe more like 24 and 12 years, because the 12-year cycle I think is a little bit more significant, to be perfectly truthful. But like that happens, and it correlates to generational zeitgeists of kids being born, growing up, white males, being that white males are the majority of high achieving people in our nation. You go to a school, the kids that are tend to be the most talented and popular and have the best grades and also are rich and also are good looking. Most of them do tend to be white males, and feeling like or females, but it's different, let's okay, I don't want to get into schooling because public schools are so geared towards making it so that the females are always class president, that now I'm wanting to, but okay, everybody knows that white males do succeed. Like, white males are, extraordinarily talented. If you actually, like, once you get to college, all the fucking like absolute smartest kids are like white guys and Asian guys, pretty much. Like once you're actually there, like once you're actually like, I went to writing school, like once you're in serious writing classes and you're there's not a whole lot of females and like racial minorities who are serious, like really good writers. I knew one black guy who was like a really, really good writer in my 4 years of university. And I think I would say I knew 2 females that were, and all of the other guys that were I ever considered rivals were white males. And that's just how it was. And you being a female or being a minority and observing that reality and observing that white males are also, end up being the richest and everything, it doesn't feel fair, and being a gay guy, that too, it's like, ultimately as there, while there are definitely rich gay guys, not really that many, most gay guys end up in the service industry and working at bars and dying before they're fucking 40 and like shit like that. And so I can understand that. And so when somebody starts telling all of these different people, hey, all of us, even though we're all different, you're a white guy, you're a fat girl, you're a black girl, you're an Asian person in a wheelchair, we're all going to join forces, and then together we are united and we're strong, and we're going to, like, if they don't know that they're going to lose every time to the white males, they're going to always try it. But they're going to always lose every fucking time because they can't get along. It's like, how is the fucking like Asian person in the wheelchair going to like actually coordinate to overthrow the white males with fucking fat ass Lindy West. Well, not really that well, because white guys are really good at competing, and they're also good at cooperating with each other. Like, that's sort of what happens. Like, if you're going to be successful as a white dude, you have like, and I don't say this as like an insider necessarily. I've sort of been able to do this sometimes, but mostly I'm not able to do this, but I observe it with like white straight men, especially. They learn how to fucking work as a team, and that, like, they get shit done. Like, my friends who I used to go to raves with, this one year there was a festival where basically anybody could come and bring their own stage and set up their stage, kind of like a mini Burning Man. And my fucking friends, who are the white dudes, they fucking built a thing that was like 3 foot off the ground, elevated and shit, and they had it all planned out. And like, I was like, whoa, like, this is us, like, really, you know, like, and they just kind of did it. Like, I was going with them. I had no concept that, and they were like my good friends. Like, I think that they figured that I wasn't gonna, you know, carry my weight in terms of, like, I was gonna play on the DJ stage, but I think that they figured I wasn't gonna like be a team player, because I kind of never was. They just liked hanging out with me, but I didn't understand that, like, when it came to like getting like work done, that you would have to be organized to do that. That my straight white guy friends, one of them was half Asian, but still, like, that they would just take care of business, and that they had this whole way of cooperating with each other and like achieving stuff. Like, it was a thing that they were so used to doing that, like, they didn't even bother to tell me about it. You know, and it's like, if a feminist ever did that, you would be hearing about it, and like, they would have a little newsletter trying to like raise money for their little stage for like a year prior and everything. You know, the straight guys figured it out. And, you know, like, so like, of course the fucking intersectionals are never going to beat the white straight men. They don't know how to compete, they don't know how to organize, they don't know how to work together in the same way. And yeah, and so when they lose, when the intersectional, when the fucking PC, when the, you know, various different marginalized, when the losers decide to join forces to beat the winners, and then they lose epically, it always is a crushing defeat. And most people just abandon ship, but then the diehard people who want to stay on that, you know, whatever it is, that sort of train of thought, you know, like, I accepted long ago that I'm never going to become the new majority. Like, as a gay male, I'm never going to like replace straight men as like the primary wealth holder, or, you know, like, fucking whatever, like, whatever the fuck intersectionals are thinking that they're going to do to like straight white men to make them second class citizens, and then like they're going to be the first class citizens depending upon, you know. I accepted that that's just not going to happen, and just make my life as best that I can. But there's some people that kind of just sort of like beat this mentality into the ground and keep going with this, you know, like, no, but it's not fair. It's not fair. It was our turn. We were supposed to be in charge this time. It's, you know, and they end up just looking so, you know, like, if they're in their like early 30s, even through their 40s, like those crazy Marxist professors who teach at university who are like in their 40s. Like, there's that website that film your Marxist professors, and it has video uploads of like wacky ass professors saying wacky ass shit, and they're well into their 40s. When people who are young people who are still figuring things out, you know, like when they're 18 and they don't know anything about feminist theory, all they know is that they had maybe one feminist professor for an elective, you know, like they had some like art appreciation class that was taught by a feminist, and they're like, oh my god, that was the worst class. Like, she kept making us watch these like weird art films directed by lesbians, and they were so bad. Like, I don't know why. And like these are kids that I talk to when I play Overwatch. I play team games, and so I'm playing with young people who are in college, and they don't know anything really about feminism, and they don't really care. They just want to play video games. But some of them go to college, and occasionally they ask me what I do for, because I tell them I work from home, and they're like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a freelance writer. And then sometimes I tell them I do YouTube, and then I'd say I talk about feminism, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I think that maybe I'm a feminist, but like, I don't know. The feminists I actually meet are horrible. I'm like, you're not alone in your opinion, and yeah, as that happens, it just becomes blatantly uncool to be like this, to the point where everybody pretends that it never happened. And it, give it 5, 6, 7 years, it's gonna be like there's gonna be people who were blue-haired, short-haired, non-binary identified girls all of a sudden, like making rape jokes and being like horribly un-PC and snorting cocaine and drinking heavily, and basically never showing anybody the pictures of themselves when they were non-binary special snowflakes. And if they do, it'll be at a party. Like she'll be 26, and she'll pull out the photo album, or her old pictures on her old from her old Facebook profile. She'll show it to her friends alone in her bedroom, and there'll only be 3 friends around. She'll be like, do you want to see the cringiest thing ever? Me at 16. And they're all like, oh my God. And it will be like that, because I say that because when I was in my mid-20s, I was a kid of the 90s, and we remember the 90s. We remember how cringy it was to look at pictures of ourselves from the 90s, from last decade, because last decade was a shitlord decade. Last decade was a un-PC decade, and it was absolutely like this drastic change. So that's the end of that monologue.
Okay. Well, I was gonna give the devil's advocacy that I think Katz would probably give, which I know his logic is, given feminism is like the Borg, given enough time, they always win. I would say that might be true for like the baby boomer generation, when they were like majority feminists, but I don't know how many of them are going to be around long enough where it's going to be, feminism's just going to win by default, because how could you oppose feminism? Because we've seen the last 5 years, they've literally made themselves into a joke. They're ruining institutions. They're what is it now? Maybe 1 in 10 people are actually identifying as feminists now, instead of whatever it was in the 70s, 1 in 2 or whatever their high water mark was.
Well, I think that's something. There's an important distinction to be made here. I think that when we were talking about, I don't think that we said feminism is like the Borg. If given enough time, they always win. I don't think that's what the statement was. I think it was intersectionality is like the Borg.
Or whatever it was, whatever the phrase was, is just that it was that given enough time, feminism in whatever form will eventually win the day.
But see, that's not true though. So intersectionality.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not true, because the people that would have thought that are starting to die off, and our generation now is like, your guys are just assholes. We don't really want you around anymore.
But anybody who said that was making a valid point when it comes to something like intersectionality, which is the notion that the people who feel that they are owed something by the people who have the have-nots, the have-nots will always find a way to get something from the haves, because there's just always going to be a whole lot of have-nots, and that is like the Borg in that way. But it doesn't. The feminist angle does not work, because feminism, its end taken to the full conclusion of what they are preaching is a female supremacy, and female leaders replace all of the people who are in positions of power, authority, and top earning positions. Just replace them all with women, and that will automatically fail. They will automatically lose, because there is just not enough competent women to have that succeed. It's just there isn't. You know, it's not that there aren't a few, it's just there's not a lot. So when they try to start putting women in, and they're not even putting competent women in, they're putting fucking feminist women in, which is even worse. So like that's actually happening currently in the Seattle city government. Apparently there's a big kind of feminist railroading taking over the Democratic Party, and they like ousted the Democratic Party chair, who is some gay guy who I guess is a racial minority who I don't know if he was a good. I'm sure I'm sure I would hate him if I actually looked. But I heard he was like a nice enough guy from the person that I heard about this from. But they basically are like getting rid of him, from what I can tell, because feminism. You know, they want to replace him with a more feminist person. But it's like he was apparently competent, and whoever they're going to be fucking replacing him with, well, obviously, if it's just because they want it to be a feminist, they're not going to be very competent. So that's how they fail. But the intersectionals, like, there is an argument to be made that, like, as automation takes over and, you know, there's less and less actual jobby jobs, then the wealth hoarders are going to be overtaken by the have-nots, because it's going to be harder and harder to hoard the wealth, because people are going to have time to get at it. So, but that's only going to be because, like, there's gonna be less and less people that are like starving and homeless, theoretically.
Well, my point was more political, saying that like feminists now, they think they're going to win, like the Anita Sarkeesian types, but they're mostly banking on like my parents, like the people who are 60s who would have been burning their bras in the 70s. They're mostly banking on them voting, saying, "Oh, feminism, vote for that," not even thinking what's going into it. That our generation looks at feminism like it's Anita Sarkeesian, big red. You know, you're basically just a man hater, whereas the people who will just vote for feminism no matter what, no questions asked, are dying off. And that's my point why I think they will start losing in the future, is because they have such a bad opinion. We have such a bad opinion of them now, and the people that have a good opinion of feminism are going to get old and die off. Like, I've seen my aunts who are in their 50s like, oh yeah, intersectionality, but it's so great. It's like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And it's like, and you're going to die off at some point. When I'm like the one in like running things, it's like my generation, we're going to hate feminism at some point because of just seeing how much damage they've been doing. Like literally, like how many colleges are we at? They've like totally ruined by now. I mean, I know we're at like 3 if we're including Canada as a country.
Well, we have Mizzou, Evergreen, Wilfrid Laurier. Are those the 3 you were thinking?
Yeah, well, Laurier's in Canada, but are we considering them a country anymore since they've elected Trudeau?
Yeah. Well, he has lower approval rating than Trump. He has like a 44% approval rating.
Oh, he can't even get all the women to love him.
Oh my God! It's funny. Americans sure love him. I mean, we're United States people sure love him, but or at least the media. It's so funny too, because like there'll be like these memes on Facebook of like Justin Trudeau basically being like, Justin Trudeau is better than Trump, and it shows a picture of his face with him like trying to look dapper, and there's always like a few girls in the comments being like, oh my God, I love him, and like he's so and then they don't really actually have anything to say about him, and it's like and I'm like, so let me break this down. You think he's cute, and then they're like, well, also he's not like totally Trump and everything. I'm like I said, you find him attractive, and like they don't have an answer. Like it literally is just, oh my God, he's really cute for a world leader.
Yeah. Like I think I made this point to one of my aunts, like I'm a feminist, always vote Democrat aunts. And she's like, oh, I wish we had Justin Trudeau as a leader. And I'm like, you do realize he would just be a comfortable lie. He wouldn't actually be that great of a leader. And I mean, he's panning out to not be that great of a leader. He's basically Hillary Clinton in a twink body.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame because there's so many of these people still, like, in that conversation I was just having, it ended up becoming a long conversation with this girl, and like she was just saying she was like repeating like 2015's lines about Donald Trump, just stupid shit, and I was like, dude, like, you understand that the racial tensions that we have today are as a result of who will go down in history as the most racist president of our lifetimes, which was Barack Race Baiter Obama. Like, do you have any concept of that? And she didn't seem to know what the term race baiting actually meant. Like, because she was like, Trump's a race baiter. He's the one talking. And it's like, okay, I don't think you actually get what race baiting is, like,
he's a race baiter because we keep accusing him of race or of being racist.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, that's how that works.
It's like she heard the word race, so it must be Trump because Trudeau is really cute. Like,
I don't even think he's cute. I don't get it.
He's not that cute, but for a world leader, he's fuckable. I'd fuck him. Like, I wouldn't not fuck him.
I'd turn him around and bend him over.
Yeah. There's this one picture of him where his ass
I'm not
looks
into
like...
that kind of thing, but I think that is exactly what those gags were made for.
But I was trying to explain to her, Obama was this really, really race baiting president, and he was really, really, and I forget just how behind, because to me it was 2015 or so that I started to really, really realize that Black Lives Matter, for example, was a problem. Like, they were not anything besides a problem. Like, Black Lives Matter, I heard about it in I definitely heard about it as soon as it started, whenever the hashtag officially came out. But I was surrounded by people who were really, really into the Trayvon Martin slaying and acted like it was this horrible, horrible thing. This poor 16-year-old who was shot by a person who was neither police nor white. And but it's just like all of the white people that are cops that shoot police officers or that shoot unarmed Black kids. And I'm like, huh? What's going on here? This is some like, but I tried to be compassionate and everything, but by 2015 it was very clear that this was just race baiting. Like, it was like, wait, they aren't trying to solve any problems. All they are trying to do is make people upset. That is literally all they are trying to do. And then it went from there to like, wait, it's not that they're just trying to make people upset about racism, it's that they're trying to make people upset about racism and then say that the feminists are going to be the ones that are going to make it all better. And not just the feminists, but like the intersectionals, which is, less than a molecule away from fucking full-blown communists. But it was in 2015 when I started to like realize that, this is a racist thing, Black Lives Matter. Like, it's just not good, Like, I initially, prior to 2015, I thought that they meant well and I wished them the best. And then 2015, it was like, wait, they don't mean well. I don't think that they ever meant well. I was having that realization, and so many other people did, obviously. But, that was like fucking 3 years ago. So Overton window, sure, it's shifted a lot. But I talked to this fucking girl and she has no concept that someone would say Black Lives Matter is racist. And the only reason that she can think of that is she's like, oh, so let me guess, you think all lives matter is better, huh? And it's like, well, it's not even really my argument. What? Yeah, do we have to choose? Like, no, I can go on and on about all the different, like, do you want to talk about how when Brown Lives Matter and Native Lives Matter became trending hashtags, Black Lives Matter attacked them for appropriating their movement? Can we talk about how racist that is? Can we talk about like they were attacking Native Americans for using a similar hashtag because they were stealing their thunder for like a microsecond one day?
I do remember that. Like there was that 1 week where it's like Mexican lives matter, like Native lives matter, whatever lives matter.
Yeah, and the Black Lives Matter people were not having it. They were mad. Yeah. And that's like, that is fucked up. Like, why do they have the right to get mad at other people? Like, it's like, not only is it that white lives apparently don't matter, it's that only Black lives matter. And it's like, okay, so that's racist. And then like also the notion that like the only fucking thing they cared about is police brutality, which you know is like one of the lowest causes of death to Black people. You know, certainly lower than, you know, in terms of murder than crime from other Black people. Like that, like statistically, it's just there's, you know, things like
issue too. If you're gonna focus on like police violence, you know.
Wait, what?
Like the argument from a male perspective makes more sense statistically. Like if they were going to go male lives matter, look at all these male deaths at the hands of police. Like the same criticisms would still apply, but they'd at least have a stronger statistical argument. When you say Black lives matter, it's actually kind of a misnomer because white males have a more just claim to that issue than Black females do, which is kind of what we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, an interesting statistic that I noticed when I was going over crime stats when I was just first getting red pilled is that the sentencing discrepancy between men and women of all races is 6 times greater than the sentencing gap between white men and Black men. Yet that's not even remotely mentioned.
Yeah, the sentencing and disparity, also called like the pussy pass, it basically it blows up like so many concepts too. And the thing about it too is it stacks, right? Because it's like if you don't get off the hook at the first stage, it's like you still have the pussy pass, you still get to use it later. So there was actually this permutation of ninjas had this article up where he tried to like reverse engineer it, and the argument was that if you just account for that alone, it's possible conceivably that crime actually has gender parity, and that we have like 95% men in prison as a result of that. It's kind of a far-fetched argument. I think he took it down eventually because I think he maybe jumped the shark a little bit on that, but it's still like a really, really mind-blowing set of numbers. But anyway, the whole Black Lives Matter thing is crazy, and like I actually didn't hear about all these little like sub movements with like the Native Lives Matter, Mexican Lives Matter. The closest thing I had heard was when there was like the videos of like Black Lives Matter and like local police like having barbecues together, and there's really wholesome videos. Everybody was like really happy about it, right? And then you had like the head of one of those like BLM chapters like freaking out over it and saying this is not the right message.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And they were like, no. All cops are bastards.
You would think that they would want to see pictures of them being civil together.
No, yeah, no.
Exactly.
Well, that's assuming that they actually wanted to solve a problem.
Yeah, no. See, I think that they wanted. I think that this is what they. My theory, and this is, would be perfectly legal. This is not like it's technically not a conspiracy theory because a conspiracy theory implies that this is something that is illegal or highly unethical. I guess it would be unethical. So the conspiracy theory is just simply that, this was a Democratic Party invention. Obama was saying that Obama wanted to like basically start the Black Lives Matter movement during the second half of his presidency. And then Hillary Clinton was the one who was supposed to start seeing some sort of like results about it. And so they were going to act like everything was still a problem. And Obama was like, I acknowledge this problem and you guys can speak at the White House and blah, 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 blah. And then Hillary Clinton would start like seeing some results and then, I don't know, fucking vagina or something. I think that's sort of was what their plan was. But I wanted to mention, the thing about the prison sentencing gap, which is very true. I mean, and granted, males, Black people do serve on average longer than white people in general, and males much more so than females. That's one of the reasons why men's rights are just such an important issue, because men's rights could theoretically solve a lot of, well, I don't know if solve, but certainly help a lot of problems that people think of as racism problems. Oh, I broke this little piece of plastic that I don't know what it does. I agree. Just simply because, the notion that a lot of people say that the only problem that the Black Lives the black community is like really suffering, which granted there's a lot of problems in the black community, but people say that the real problem is fatherlessness. But like, well, what if they started being a little bit more fair with the prison sentencing gap? Like, what about that? But ultimately, I think that isn't an easy problem to fix, because people do turn a massive profit off of prison labor. So I don't know if that's going away anytime soon.
Not to mention just getting them into jail is a very, profit-seeking business. Like, I think, what is it? Like, one lawyer I knew is like, yeah, crime does pay, but it pays us, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even getting into the other topics like private prisons.
Yeah.
Where they have a vested financial interest in keeping people incarcerated.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, though, is that I guess this kind of goes back to the conversation earlier about like whether, like, what the state of feminism is and like what the end game is going to look like. Like earlier this week, I was kind of just walking around, handing around like just little flyers I had printed about the event for the red pill screening, and it's really interesting because I wasn't sure what kind of reaction to get, and because I'm so often kind of in this like internet YouTube little thing where I watch all these things and follow these things. Like I'm so much like ready to meet someone who's going to be like confrontational or be like, fuck you or whatever. Right. Like, and like the fact that you don't encounter that in reality and find people instead who are like, I've never heard of any of this. I don't know what any of this is. You get to the range of people who are just like men's issues, huh? It's like literally the first time they've heard of it, all the way up to people who are like kind of vaguely like, oh yeah, I think I saw that TED talk with this girl, and this is the same girl. Right. And like, it was crazy to see all that whole range of reactions. And it was virtually every single person I met that I encountered walking around, like that was the range of reactions I was getting. And it was like so surreal to me to think that like, holy shit, like what do these losers do if they don't just like watch feminists and anti-feminists bicker on Twitter all day?
Wait, tell me again, what were the range of reactions?
Just a range of just like it was totally new to them. Either they had absolutely no concept of any like men's issues or men's rights, or that it was even a thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it was just
yeah.
a weird thing, all the way up into like, oh, I'd kind of vaguely heard something about this.
That's what's great about playing Overwatch. Like, and granted, this is video games, and while Overwatch is kind of a girly video game, like there's a lot of girls that play Overwatch. I think largely because it's a team game. Like your teams of 6 that work cooperatively, and there's healers and tanks and everything, and so there's this like social dynamic, and you become friends with your regular teammates, and so that's going to be more appealing to girls. And they never have to worry about their appearance, so it's like, hey, what's not to like? But they're still, the girls who play Overwatch mostly aren't feminists, because most female gamers aren't actually feminists, because they're female gamers. They're not like fucking feminists. Can't probably even figure out how to play fucking Super Mario, and the thing is, I play with people, and like almost nobody knows anything about what my channel would be about. So it's this great thing where like I get to be completely separated. Yeah, it's like walking down the street and finding out that, to my shock, nobody knows anything about the crap that I obsess about all day on the internet. And it's nice. And it's nice to be able to tell people about things. Like when it was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they had a skin for one of the characters, which is a healing character, the Angel. You could pay like $16 and you'd get a skin, and it would go to breast cancer research. And they had an icon, a player icon, that was this like the pink. It looked like a pink ribbon, right? And you can have that. You have a player icon by your name, so that when you go into the matches, everybody sees a specific icon. Like I don't know. It's kind of dumb, It's just like a thumbnail sort of thing. And so all these people changed theirs to the pink thing, and I changed mine to a blue one, and I did it specifically.
Oh god.
Yeah, well, no, just
actually, it's brown for prostate cancer.
Shut up.
Wow.
I specifically did it to blue so that I could tell people, because people would be like, "Oh, why isn't?" Because I would play and like literally all of them would be pink because everybody was like trying to virtue signal a little bit, and I was like, well, I have absolutely no problem with breast cancer research. All cancer research is a good thing. It helps, find treatments and cures for all types of cancers, because if they were to find a particularly potent development in breast cancer research, it could apply to other forms of cancer. So I have no problem with that. However, I just like to point out that more people die of prostate cancer and it gets less than half of the funding. So that's why I'm doing this. And nobody had a problem with that. Like, you would expect some fucking person to like think that somehow I was a misogynist, because hey, it would not take long to find that person to say that on the internet, but not in Overwatch. No, they were all like, "Oh, that's interesting to know about. I didn't know that."
That's actually a really great point. It makes me want to play more games where you kind of have that regular interaction.
Yeah,
Because I play on a mode that's very, very lowly populated.
With random people that you get paired up with. Like,
yeah, that Omegle effect. Maybe I'll give Overwatch a try, but like I fucking hate FPSs. They're so gay.
No, I did too prior to Overwatch. But first of all, it's not entirely just an FPS. It is it's a first person game, but not every character is a shooter. Like, there's people who swing hammers, and like there's this one girl who has like a chain, like a morning star, and there's a sorceress lady that sucks the life out of people and stuff. So it's yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's worth pointing out also, the people will try to minimize the impact of prostate cancer, and essentially the argument goes that typically, like, you can have prostate cancer and live with it for a really fucking long time, and then something else can kill you while you have it. And the argument is that more people die with it than of it. I don't think it's really I think it's kind of a disingenuous argument. I think that when you're looking at, twice as many deaths and half the funding, I think that, they're kind of relying on that pulling a lot of weight. But I just wanted to throw that out there, because anybody who uses that talking point, like, you might get that pushback.
All right.
But yeah, it's.
I
mean, like, it's just. Oh yeah, are we wrapping it up? Do you think, or did we have another thing?
I don't have anything else to talk about.
Well, I heard that now Netflix employees are no longer permitted to look at one another for more than 5 seconds. Have y'all heard about this?
No, it's just one set, and that's just it's a perfect example of starving piranha syndrome, because that will kill any sort of dramatic production. Because in order for actors and writers and directors to do a good job working together on a theatrical production, people have to become comfortable with each other and become friends. So it will kill the show. It will destroy the show. As a theater person, I assure you guys, that show will fail, because it will have completely unrealistic acting and directing. It will just be completely awful. Even if it has good writing, it will just not work. Like, in order for something to come together, people have to learn to become comfortable around each other, and then they start playing off of each other's energy. And you can't do that if they're scared to like look at each other. It just doesn't. It's impossible.
We were having some fun with that today. One of my employees actually brought that to my attention, and she ended up spending the rest of the day encouraging us to count aloud, up till 5, before looking away. It's great.
Could it
Maybe
be
work for like a Napoleon Dynamite remake?
I don't know.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Could well be.
I'm just glad we're ending this on the most important thought, that this might actually be on accident. They figured out a good way to make a Napoleon Dynamite remake.
That's one fucked up movie.
Well, all right. Speaking of Overwatch, I'm probably gonna get on my my little substitute addiction, the thing that got me to stay quit from drinking or stay drinking no more than three or four times a month, depending upon how stressed out I get. But certainly never more than like twice a week. Like if you're only drinking twice a week and you're doing good. You're doing good in life. Ultimately, like that's drinking under control. And usually it's only 2 or 3 times a month, and it's all thanks to addiction to video games.
And if it's less than that, you're a loser.
So the takeaway message from this episode of the Gaytriarchy is substitute whatever is going on in your life that might be kind of addictive and bad for video games. And have yourself a wonderful weekend.
Okay. Good
And
night,
good night
everybody.
to the chat, our lovely chat who hangs out with us and spices things up. We've had a lovely banter today.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Later, y'all.
Later.
Yeah.
Bye.